What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about why I'm buying Horizon Forbidden West and why you should too. This is my series where I take a look at a game or movie that's coming out and talk about what I'm doing with it, if I'm getting it or not, and just kind of preview it, right? Talk about my impressions of something before it releases. I'm so happy that we finally get to do this for Horizon. This was a game that I really did love, and it took me a long time to actually get to that point because when the game first came out, much like a lot of the games in that era, I bought it, I played it a little bit, and then I stopped, and that was what I did for pretty much all the games. And back in 2020, my New Year's resolution, right before the world kind of fell apart around me, was to just beat games. So I went back and I replayed all of Horizon as well as the DLC and completely beat it. And I did as much as I didn't do literally everything, but I probably did like 85-90% of the things there was to do in that game. And it's just a phenomenal game. So I really reached my level of true love for this game back around 2 years ago around this time. So I'm so happy that Forbidden West is coming out. And this is one of the easiest, if not the easiest, one of these videos to make, right? What am I doing with this game? Of course, I'm buying it. This is not, waiting for it for a couple months to go on sale. This is not skipping it entirely. This is getting it day one. The only tough thing about this game is when it comes out in respect to the other games, right? Dying Light comes out 2 weeks before it. Sifu comes out around 10 days before it. Elden Ring comes out the week after. So like it is sandwiched in with other games, but to me, priority goes to Horizon in this case. I'm just so excited to get into this world. This is one of those games that I can very well or very easily see myself just like becoming a part of, doing everything that there is to do. And really the stuff that they have talked about in terms of expanding everything and making side quests, making side, like regions or also clans and just everybody that you're talking to and missions that you're doing that are outside of the main quest, making that more appealing. I actually think they did a decent enough job of diversity, of making things a little bit different, and so you always feel like you're kind of doing something new in the original game. But I mean, the way they're talking about this one, I just feel like it's going to be even more. Obviously, visuals look incredible. I'll be playing this on PS5, so I hope to get the maximum, out of this game. The water, I mean, if you guys don't know me yet, or maybe you've been around, but I haven't talked about it all that much. I mean, I'm a diehard water person. I love water parks. I love water just as a thing. So any game that has water in it, like Horizon, is immediately going to stand out to me. And now that you can go in the water, oh my God. So I'm probably going to spend a fair amount of time just, and there is no breathing air bar. You can actually just stay underwater as long as humanly possible. Small known fact that I've committed to memory because of how much I care. So, I think the exploration is going to be phenomenal. I think the gameplay is going to be great. These games, what I really think shines with this game that people learn as they're playing it is just the different ways of handling situations. Now, I tend to be a little boring when it comes to any game that gives you a lot of different ways of tackling something. I tend to kind of keep it straightforward, maybe do the same thing every time in an annoying kind of boring fashion. I will say with Horizon, the first game, I did find myself, because they kind of make you do it, right? Some enemies are a pain, a true pain if you handle every enemy the exact same way. Say you just try to brute force it. There are some enemies that you're just going to absolutely fail with that approach. You have to switch it up, and you have to use different arrow types or different, things and different gadgets, right? You have to do that. So I respect that. So I would say with Horizon, the first game, I did find myself trying out more things than I would ever, so even The Witcher, Witcher 3, phenomenal game. I played it for 95 hours. I could probably count on both of my hands how many times I used certain, elixirs or whatever, on my sword or on myself or whatever. I didn't really experiment with much. I kind of just, again, brute forced it. I would use my couple spells that I use very often in The Witcher. I would dodge, I would strike, and that, that's kind of it. And and I'm okay with that. And, obviously everybody can just play their own style. But I think a game like Horizon, that really is what stands out so much. You see it in the gameplay, right? When they're playing it, and it's oh, this looks so fancy, this looks so cool. But the reality is that actually is kind of how it plays. You always need to be moving around, right? So when they're like constantly running and sliding and switching types of arrows and different things that they're using to take out these enemies, a lot of games do that, and they've done it for decades, right? Of like showing a highly polished, and it makes it kind of feel very real. But obviously they've committed to memory, and then they're supposed to do certain things at certain times, and so it always looks flashy. And then when you play it, it's a coin flip if it actually works out. Horizon, I feel like, is the good side of that coin, right? Where that really is how the gameplay is. So I know I spent a lot of time talking about that, but that's another aspect, right? Visuals, they got covered. Story, I'm really interested in the main story. I think the story of Horizon was probably the weakest, but also the most filled with potential. And specifically when you listen in to like the diaries or like the audio logs, or whatever, like those really flesh out the world, I think, a lot better. And I think Guerrilla Games is getting better. Killzone is not like the pinnacle of storytelling, and so to switch over to Horizon, you got to give them a little bit. But I think the story is probably the weakest aspect of Horizon, but it's not bad. I think it's definitely good, and then it's even maybe higher than good if if you really understand the lore of what's going on. So I cannot wait for the story, the visuals, the gameplay itself. Again, I'm really just looking forward to going around, not just exploring and traversing the world, but then using like the new gadgets that they, like the parachute basically thing, right? That they allow you to do, and then also just taking out enemies, very different enemies, way more of them than in the original game, and in different ways, continuing from the first game. So this is obviously if this game isn't a Game of the Year contender, that's probably a problem. Sony, you could look at it different ways. I'm not saying like it absolutely needs to, but Sony kind of relies on these games like Horizon to just come out, make a huge impact. Everybody, well, I guess not everybody, but lots of people play it. You're talking about it for the full year. It's just a game that kind of pushes the medium. I really would say the first Horizon game probably didn't push and I don't really think this game's going to either. Do you know what I mean? That's tough, but I don't think the open world genre is going to be pushed too hard, like forward, because of Horizon. But I just feel like Horizon can just do the best that it can do. Tell a very interesting story about what's going on here, and obviously it is pretty darn different and pretty cool compared to other stories in the same ilk. The gameplay obviously very much stands out. The visuals, Aloy as a character, I think is very solid. So they really have everything going their way. All they have to do, hopefully, is nail the landing, and I'm rooting for them. The first game really shocked people, right? First game came out, and you never know. You never know with the first Last of Us. You never know with the first Horizon, and because it could be like a Days Gone. Days Gone was flawed, but also it did have a lot of good things in it. And Horizon was one of those games that just came out, and it did have flaws. I think they were kind of overlooked by a lot of people, and it got really high scores. It obviously sold really well. We got the DLC. I would imagine there's more coming for this. You could see it with the PSVR 2, right? So there will definitely, I think, be more Horizon. They'll probably do some sort of DLC content at the end of this year or like early next year, like a director's cut thing like Ghost of Tsushima did. I'd imagine that's the next thing up for them. And so here we are. Here we are just a few weeks away. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. I will be covering the game a ton on the channel when I actually get my hands on it, when I'm able to play it. We'll do tons of different videos on it. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.